This was announced by I. Van Woenkel, personal representative of the film company. He said a thoroughly modern picture and playhouse will be erected here, provided a suitable location can be found. Mr. Van Woenkel was in conference with the local businesses, some of whom are expected to become interested in the project. Among the sites under consideration, it was stated, is the property on which is now located the Midway Theater and the store occupied by George Souster Company. According to reports, it is planned to place the management of the theater in the hands of local interest. Combinations of theaters and chains of theaters, which other producers have started to build in strategic cities, Mr. Van Woenkel stated, have forced the hand of independent producers to such an extent that they have been compelled to acquire theaters to protect themselves. We have investigated and learned that without doubt, Elgin will have a new theater within the next 2 years. In view of this fact, I've been sent to Elgin by President Lemley in order to open negotiations for a suitable location for a theater to be erected this summer.
Elgin 100 Years Ago is a presentation of the Elgin History Museum. Be sure to visit the museum located at 360 Park Street in Elgin, open Wednesday through Saturdays 11 to 4. You can also listen to Elgin 100 Years Ago at www.elginhistory.com.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. This afternoon, scattered showers and thunderstorms with mostly cloudy skies and a high near 88. Tonight, scattered showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy with a low around 68.
Test 1 2.
84. Currently, it is 89 degrees with clear skies. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies to same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
I know we're at an at-will state, but for making a comment, like, hey, your hair looks good. And then I got a call from HR saying, hey, you know what? You're under investigation. Do I have any recourse?
Were you fired?
No, not yet.
The problem, Eddie, is they can fire you for any reason they want. They literally can wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm a little bored this morning. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to fire Eddie for no reason. Yep, he can do that. Yeah, that's California. Yep, welcome.
Handle on the Law. If you're injured and need a lawyer, go to handleonthelaw.com.
Hello, America, and good day to our friends around the world. This is a political talk show here on WRMN. That's WRMN 1410 on the AM dial, but also WRMN 1410 on the digital dial at WRMN1410.com. This is a political talk show. My name is Dennis Sonar Green, host and moderator of this. I like being a moderator more than I like being a host a lot of times, but you know what? Somebody's got to deliver the juicy, I guess, concepts of the news that we don't get everywhere else. If you enjoy long form, deep dives into political concepts without any kind of I guess I can't say without bias. Everyone's got bias, but I guess in a open forum, non-pejorative, as often as we can environment. This is it. This is the place. Today, we're going to go over a couple of things. Of course, we want to take a deep dive into technology. That's a big thing that is moving around, even in the briefing today with Director Powell for the Federal Reserve. When they talked about population not being replaced, about how the other generations haven't had as many children as maybe the baby boomers or Gen Xers. They're really talking about millennials and back down. And they're talking about how as productivity in the labor force is required, who is going to fill that if we don't have the population growth? So he suggested, obviously, the AI swing for everything here. So that's what we're going to talk about in the second hour. We'll do a little bit of that with it. But what I want to talk about here in the first hour is kind of in that same vein of social media and things. I don't know if you remember when there was the internet trend that was going around of asking people how often they think about the Roman Empire. Right? It was an odd thing about a year ago. I think it started before Christmas time of 23 going into 24. It eventually became something, as the boss lady told me, because she keeps up with social media and most of its history, is that it eventually turned into, what is your Roman Empire thing? What is the thing that you obsess over, or the thing that you know a bunch about, or the thing that you think about daily that's not necessarily affecting your life? And so it led me to believe at the time that my Roman Empire was almost the Roman Empire, with how much of the way that the Republic looked at the time. And for always, the first thing that comes up with the Roman Empire is the fall of the Roman Empire and the way it kind of bled into itself and dripped and slowly, like a glacier, changing the landscape until, again, it was unrecognizable. And so we all talk about this kind of phenomenon in politics, or I've heard it elsewhere even before I really heard it in politics, was the crossing of the Rubicon, of where you're no longer able to move back and have the, I don't know, way to go back to where the Roman Empire and the Republic and the populist control and everything else finally did it. And I wonder, where is the American Rubicon? Is where have we given the executive branch, or where we have entered into an autocracy, or where we can't distinguish authority over moral authority versus moral majority versus all of the different things that are all bled together of our politics not being for the people, but being for the politicians themselves. And where's our Rubicon? Where does it fall over? At what point have we gone so far that we can't turn around, that the system is out of control? There's it brings me to mind of urban legend about Tesla, about how there was a earthquake in New York City, and shortly after the rather quick earthquake, everyone ran upstairs to see what Tesla was working on, and he was up there smashing a machine with a hammer. Almost as if that machine had gotten out of control and couldn't be turned off, right? If you can't turn something off, unplug it. It doesn't work, runs on batteries, take those batteries out. But a machine, something that self-feeds. In the Navy, or those of you that are firefighters, we call that a class Delta fire. A fire that feeds itself, regardless of what you do to it, regardless of what oxygen or oxygen deprivation or chemical deprivation or any of the other things to break down the fire tetrahedron for it. A Delta fire doesn't. It just burns. Thermite is another substance that does that too. Just burns until it's out. In the Navy, do you know what we do with a class Delta fire? We chuck it overboard. Because it'll just burn and burn and burn and burn all the way through the hull. It's so strong and has such a feed of itself that it just burns and destroys everything. And so I ask you, dear listener, or those of you on YouTube, what happens when the system that we have created is taken over and is dangerously unstoppable? Where the lobbyists feed the politicians so that the politicians can be the lobbyists to feed the politicians. That the war begets another war, begets another war, that the recession does another recession, that another recession. Can you see the patterns? You think about the way that the world was in the 70s, the way the world was in the 80s, the way the world was in the 90s. It's almost as if they figured out the formula in the 2000s, because the last 20 years, maybe even the last 30 years, have just been the same thing. But faster, more recessions, more drops, more quick wars. And so where is the Rubicon for America? Where has our Congress given up so much that and has been so broken for so long that the statesmen give it to the executive branch? And then the executive branch turns around and says, okay, well, now that I have all of this power, what do I need the Senate for? Or at what point are we just going through the motions? Republic in name only is what we end up being. Now, those of you that want to contest with me and say, well, Sonar, we're a democracy. We spread freedom and democracy around the world. Well, yeah. But people who say those things don't understand what democracy is or what system of government we live under. Yes, we use democracy. We use a representative democracy, but all in all, we live under a republic because we need the institutions. A pure democracy is exactly as Benjamin Franklin put it, is four wolves and a sheep deciding what to have for dinner. It's the institutions that keep the sheep off the menu. And so in a republic, that is what we all agree on. Those laws that are supposed to govern everything. And so we'll talk about ancient Rome today. We'll jump in to let's see here. I brought up a statistic. Let me find it. All adult citizens, 2 to 3 think about it every day or most days. Another 17% thinks about it once a week or about once a month. So maybe a fifth of you that think about the Roman Empire every month. We're going to talk about it today. I just want to hit a quick break, reset what we're going to talk about, and we'll get ahead. Hey, Apolitical Talk Show's here on WRMN. That's the flagship station of it, but don't forget that you can find Apolitical Talk Show out there on your favorite podcasting network. Just type in Apolitical Talk Show, all 4 words. You'll find us there. I'm Dennis Sonar Green. This is WRMN, and we'll be right back.
A loved one owns a gun, and for a while now, you've been concerned about their behavior. They're just not acting like themselves. They've been distant, they've been unpredictable, they've been lashing out. They've been saying things that make you worried they might harm themselves or friends or family.
Hey, YouTubers, it's good to see you out there. Thanks for being here. If you are down there, go ahead and leave that like. Subscribe if you haven't already. There is a great chain that's happening right now for subscribers. I think we're going to hit 1,300, or I'm sorry, 1,300 before the end of the month, actually. So if you want to hit on that chain as well, hit that goal a little bit faster, go ahead and do that here. It is great to see everybody here. I'm just pulling up these live streams. Hey, there we go. That's me. So, So check it out. It is great to see everybody here jump into the discussion as well. What social media have you seen? Because I want to get to the AI slop stuff in the second hour. I think it's going to be a really cool discussion about just how much AI stuff is out there. Have you been fooled? Is it good? Is it bad? That's going to be that second hour. In this hour, we're going to go through a little bit more about what we talked about yesterday in that side. I didn't get a real chance to talk about the ceasefire because it was there and gone before we were able to do it. But that's kind of how a lot of the ceasefires end up. But we'll see. We'll see how it begins. It's a centuries-old conflict, and it can't be solved with 3 bombs. So let's get a discussion going here on the chat. The text line's also open, 505-926-1410. See you in a bit.
Them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Apolitical Talk Show on WRMN. I appreciate you being here. If you are here, let me know. In liking, subscribing, pushing a button, sending a message. any way that you can interact with the station over here. 505-926-1410. The text line is open. And if you would like to call into that, I also have that line open as well. 505-926-1410. Let me go ahead and arm it in the system over here. Yeah, absolutely. 505-926-1410 for texts. Chat on YouTube is starting to wake up a little bit more as well. So go ahead and hop in over there if you haven't already. If you like the things that we do on YouTube, the station does, you can subscribe and you will actually get a notification when we go live or when we post those new videos. Some great people were in today with Matt McNeil, and you can see all of those videos down there, as well as today's morning show. WRMN morning show starts every day, 6 a.m. Join the fun, join the laughs, and hear all about the things that are happening in the Fox River Valley. Elliot Serrano and Susie C. They have all kinds of different bits. Me, I'm a little bit more of the dry aspect of everything. Yeah, we'll put some humor here or there as we need to. But if you're looking for laughs, if you're looking for a great way to wake up, that is the way to go. No politics. It's a no politics side. Maybe a little bit of just local side of things. But even then, nothing that's hard hitting or anything that's, I don't know, the gotcha questions or anything like that. So join that conversation every morning starting at 6 a.m. The WRMN Morning Show, Susie C. and Elliot the L Train Serrano. Let's travel back in time through time and space. In early 49 BCE, I don't think that's what they called it at the time, but Julius Caesar, Roman general, statesman, and dictator, led his troops across the Rubicon River, defying the Roman Senate explicit orders and setting in motion the end of the Roman Republic. The phrase crossing the Rubicon has since become synonymous with passing to a point of no return, particularly in the matters of constitutional authority and power. Historian Mary Beard, a renowned classicist, and professor at University of Cambridge, writes in SPQR, a History of the Ancient Rome, "It is not just a declaration of war on Pompey and the Senate. It was a declaration of war on the very idea of Republican restraint." Professor Beard wrote that in 2015. The moment Caesar crossed the Rubicon, the presence of shared power dissolved, and the concentration of authority in a single figure was set into irreversible motion. The metaphor is now disturbingly apt for assessing the current political trajectory of the United States. When political theorists ask whether Caesar has crossed the Rubicon in America, they're not merely engaging in rhetorical flourish. They are diagnosing a regime that, while still performing the symbolic rituals of a republican governance, may have already abandoned its substantive foundations: civic virtue, institutional accountability, and popular sovereignty. And now I'm not going to put this into exactly this regime. We all live in a both sides argument world. I can't tell you how many discussions I have that always end up in a both sides do it. And this is where we have to wake up to that. If that's what we all have and that's the way that we put it together, there's no shame in admitting that. It's the people that have the jerseys that won't admit that, or admit it reluctantly because they don't like to point at their own party for it. And so this regime that I talk about is not the current administration. It is the current system in which we live in. Recent polling from the Pew Research Center, and this is back in 2023 and 22. So you can't talk about this regime that's here with these numbers. It's the entirety of everything eroding away. But Pew Research Center shows that only 20% of Americans trust the federal government to do what is right. Quote, just about always or most of the time. 20% most of the time or more. And I don't know how to elaborate over and over again that trust in our institutions are the absolute core of a republic. And the only way to instill trust in institutions is for accountability and public civic engagement. And it's shocking that in 2023, only 20% of Americans trust the federal government most of the time or more. Do you think that number has been going up or going down? A Political Talk Show, WRMN. Be right back.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan. Brought to you by Progressive. Kane County communities are gearing up for vibrant Independence Day celebrations. Aurora kicks things off on July 3rd with fireworks, followed by a parade on July 4th at 10 a.m. Batavia fireworks light up the sky at Eggstrom Park on the 4th at 9:30 p.m., alongside live music and food vendors. In Elgin, a morning parade leads to evening festivities and grand fireworks show at Festival Park. Knox Presbyterian Church in Naperville is hosting its annual Garden Walk on Saturday, July 12th from 9:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Participants will have the chance to explore 6 local gardens at their own pace. Advance tickets are available for $15 at the church or online with day-of tickets priced at $20. St. Charles City officials are seeking public input to guide future sidewalk planning efforts across local neighborhoods. Residents are encouraged to complete new online surveys that will help determine where sidewalks should be installed and where they might not be needed, and where upgrades could make a difference. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090.
Are you dreaming of a getaway? Want to leave the stress of daily life behind? Whether it's a relaxing cruise...
Bottom of the hour, team. I just had to get up and get something to drink. Thanks for being here. Those of you that are just joining, we are talking about the Rubicon of the Republic. Where on the threshold is the current trajectory, right? When are we going to get over the hump of where being part of this government or showing the government or the government just being for show.
Your vacation is tailor-made just for you. It's time to
So we'll talk about the fragility of the republics. If you're already hanging out here, go ahead and hit that like button. Show the algorithm that you care. And we'll get everything up and running here. We got about 60 seconds until we go over. Those of you that aren't used to commercials during your YouTube programming, this is a radio station, so thanks for being here, but we do have to play commercials a bit more often than you would hear from the other YouTube side of things. But thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of the discussion. Leave a like and a comment of what you think. In the second hour, we will be going over AI slop and the dead internet theory. So stick around. Apolitical Talk Show coming up.
3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze Car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar! La, 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 la.
Welcome back to Apolitical Talk Show here on WRMN. It's good to see you here. Those of you that are in the YouTube chat, those of you that are listening on the AM dial, thanks for listening. Why don't you go ahead and hit that favorite button, the original like button, right? Hold down one of those numbers on your dashboard. Lock it in. That's the original. Go old school with it. Remember driving around, liking a discussion or liking a certain, I don't know, maybe a certain style of music and hitting that original dial button. Way before the days of scan. Well, all kinds of different things that are out there. I did have the tape deck. I did have to have that, but I didn't have like the 8-track player or anything that old, says the guy who still broadcasts on AM. But it won't go nowhere. What you going to do with it other than this? You get to see somebody come up with a better idea for the bandwidth. But I appreciate you being here, whether it is on that AM dial or it's on the live stream. Whether that live stream is audio through the app or on the TuneIn app or on YouTube, app or otherwise. WRMN1410.com is the place to go to find all of those links and the different ways to interact, including 505-926-1410 on that text line. So we're talking about kind of the fragility of a republic. And when can you not put it back together, right? Of how many cracks can you put in it before it just falls apart and you can't glue it back together, or kind of where it falls into it. Now, a lot of times if it moves towards, I guess, a group of people, usually within an economic class, it usually moves into that oligarchy, that aristocracy. And then if it is more towards a single person, it'll move more towards that dictatorship, that monarchy, that authoritarianism. Republics are the system of government where the head of state is not a monarch and sovereignty resides within the people or their representatives. An institutional government, right? Where we don't look at the people, we look at the position. And so in my discussion with you today, I don't want you to look at this Rubicon as being crossed by Julius Caesar. Look at this being crossed by the position of the President of the United States. Because it took the reign of Julius Caesar to finally have Julius Caesar cross the Rubicon. We have not had a president that long. Now, have we had parties? Had we have policy? Have we had people in the background that have been here this long? Yeah. So the institution that we talk about when we talk about the republic of the head of state and the sovereignty being within the people or the representatives, if that starts to build within it a different type of institution, and I know we bring up, or at least I do, bring up 1984 quite often. And I don't want to spoil the book for you, but the true villain is not Big Brother. The true villain isn't the party member or any single person. The true villain is the system that the party sustains. And at a certain point, we will start to sustain the system that we have. You wonder why nothing changes or why everything continues in a certain direction. That is because we all look at everything as a single person and not as the system or the institutions that the republic is supposed to be. There are institutions. We talk about that, or people scream about that all the time. You work for me. Do they? And so, by design, republics are precarious. Unlike monarchies or empires, they rely on a broad base of civic participation. The rule of law, a shared commitment to the common good. Res publica, or Latin for the public thing. Niccolo Machiavelli, a Renaissance political theorist, in Discourses on Livy, warned that republics are especially vulnerable to internal corruption. He wrote, "Nothing is more dangerous than a corrupt citizen who has the appearance of a good man." And I'll expand that quote a little bit more, as nothing is more dangerous than a government who has the appearance of being a full republic. Rome did not fall because barbarian invasion alone. It fell because its political class became indistinguishable from private interest. Edwin Gibbon, 18th century historian and author of The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, famously noted, "The decline of Rome was the natural and inevitable effect of immoderate greatness." These insights are not confined to antiquity. Sheldon Wolin, a 20th century political theorist, in his seminal Democracy Incorporated, introduced the concept of inverted totalitarianism, describing a system where, quote, the structures of democracy remain largely intact, but the substance has been evacuated. Inverted totalitarianism differs from classical totalitarianism in that it maintains formal democratic institutions while hollowing them out from within. Republics erode if they are not kept. If we don't participate, if we don't... Now, a lot of people confuse participation with voting. Yes, voting is a part of participating. But there's a lot that comes with voting. And there's a lot that comes with civic participation as well. And a lot of that is informing yourself. And I get it. I understand how it can be overwhelming. Pick one thing. Start with one thing that is important to you. Because I will tell you that that one thing is attached to 17 others. And the chain of politics will keep growing. And you'll see where the bigger links are and where the intricacies are for your one thing. It's that concept of how everyone is on their own journey. To understand whether America has crossed its own Rubicon, we have to examine the typical signs of Republican erosion. The Roman Senate became a ceremonial body under Augustus. Its deliberations rendered irrelevant by the princeps, a title adopted by Roman emperors to maintain the facade of a republican leadership. Similarly, the U.S. Congress has ceded significant authority to the executive, particularly in matters of war. Like yesterday, we talked about the War Powers Act. And when we talked about that, we saw how much teeth the Congress has or is willing to have. According to Congressional Overreach Service, the U.S. has used military force more than 300 times since World War II, often without explicit congressional approval. Bruce Ackerman, a constitutional scholar at Yale, warns in The Decline and Fall of American Republic that the rule of law is being replaced by the rule of lawyers and the normalization of emergency. The other part that we can look at is militarization of politics and the security state. The rise of U.S. military-industrial complex, a term coined by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, has embedded a permanent war economy and surveillance infrastructure within the American state. In 2023, the U.S. defense spending exceeded $850 billion, more than the next 10 countries combined. This new budget will be the first in history at $1 trillion. $850 billion was already 2023. So do not blame this current administration for where we are sitting right now. I won't let you do it. It is the system that has allowed us to get here. 3, the erosion of civic virtue and the public square. As we're going to talk about in the second hour in the AI Slop, but a functioning republic requires informed, engaged citizens. Today, public discourse is dominated by algorithms, outrage, and identity consumption. Hannah Arendt, a political philosopher known for her work on totalitarianism and authoritarianism, warns in The Origins of Totalitarianism that, quote, the ideal subject of totalitarian rule is not the convinced Nazi or dedicated communist. The people for whom the distinction between fact and fiction no longer exists. The decline of local journalism. More than 200 or 2,500 newspapers have shut down in the last 20 years. It further impairs the citizenry. It further impairs the citizenry's capability for informed participation. Another part of it is manufactured consent and media consolidation. Just like Chomsky and Herman, political commentators and critics of media systems, in manufacturing consent, they demonstrate how media in capitalist democracies serve elite interests by filtering and framing news in ways that maintain the status quo. A 2021 study from the Knight Foundation and Gallup found that only 36% of Americans believe news organizations. They believe the news organizations care about the best interests of their readers. Media consolidation means just 6 corporations control 90% of the U.S. media outlets. 6. Another way to look at it, electoral capture and the two-party domination. The duopoly of the Democratic and Republican parties limits the political choice. Campaign finance laws, gerrymandering, and the first past the post voting creates systemic barriers to reform. Independent and third-party candidates face insurmountable hurdles in ballot access and debate inclusion. Independent and third-party candidates face all of these. As political theorist Nancy Fraser, known for her work in critical theory and political economy, observes, in the U.S. system, it functions less as a democracy and more as a legitimation device for oligarchical rule. When they put on fees, when they put on so many different hurdles to join the system and join the vote, you end up with this system. And the biggest part, when we start to see the rule of law break down, are 2 things: local dualism and elite impunity. Or legal dualism, sorry. Legal dualism, right? The two-party system, or the 2 classes. The erosion of the rule of law manifests not only in the arbitrary executive action, but also in the double standard between elites and the public. Financial crimes go unpunished. Whistleblowers are prosecuted more harshly than war criminals. Glenn Greenwald, a journalist and constitutional lawyer, has documented extensively how legal immunity now functions as a class privilege. In 2008, the financial crisis, which resulted in trillions of dollars of damage, led to virtually no criminal convictions among Wall Street senior leadership. One might argue that Caesar has already crossed the American Rubicon, but not as a singular event, but through a series of cumulative, irreversible acts. Each sign outlined above has not only emerged, but entrenched itself. We don't see the tanks in the streets or the coups, but we see what Woolen calls a managed democracy, a system that provides the illusion of choice, debate, and popular sovereignty while narrowing the range of actual political possibility. We can bring this up, and I know you hate hearing about it. January 6th Capitol riot, while often interpreted as a singular breach, should be viewed as a symptom, not a cause. It exposed the fragility of institutional legitimacy, the deep distrust of the electorate. But a more decisive Rubicon moment, the extrajudicial drone strikes, the NSA surveillance, the Citizens United decision, bipartisan war making. They've been quieter. They've been bureaucratically executed and legally rationalized. So what comes after the Rubicon? We get what's called a soft empire. As with Rome under Augustus, the shell of the republic remains. Institutions persist mostly as a ritual. But real power shifts to informal networks, corporate, military, and bureaucratic. Finally, we end up into Caesarism proper. A characteristic figure capitalizes on civic collapse to consolidate power in the name of restoring order and national greatness. Carl Schmitt, 20th century German legal theorist and critic of liberal democracy, notes in Political Theology, sovereign is he who decides on the exemption. Who can use emergency powers whenever they want to use emergency powers? And who can decide when their actions are exempt? How do we restore the republic? I don't want to leave you with all of this. Despite the gravity of the decline, history also shows that republics are not wholly doomed to dissolution. Radical electoral reform. That is the number one thing. If you want the institutions to change, you better put somebody in there who's going to change it. We've seen that. We have seen this in the back and forth flip-flopping of us, the American people. We can't make up our mind between the two because we cannot continue with the two. Ranked choice voting will help us with that. Eliminating gerrymandering. Restoring the Voting Rights Act. Implementing public campaign financing. Organizations such as Fair Vote and Represent Us offer viable models for that structural change. You're also doing it right now. Civic education and media literacy. Looking at where your news comes from. supporting local news outlets. We have to revive the trust in the antitrust enforcement. When we have too many people in one spot, they are going to control it. Stick around for hour 2. I see Brennan, I see Jeff, I see the boss lady already in there. Aaron is a new person and a few other people over there. Jeff's got a new nickname for me, Sonar Fever. Of course, for Johnny Fever. WKRP is a fantastic show. News radio is a good one, too, if you want to watch that side of things. Brennan's over there. It's good to see you, Brennan. Here in hour number 2, we're going to talk about AI slop. All of the things that you see out there on the Facebook and the Pinterest now, and the dead internet theory. Is the internet just pictures created by bots, liked and shared by bots? Or are we human? Stick around, more Apolitical Talk Show after this.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face.
Hey, how many of you have seen, since I'm on the YouTube side of things, I just want to talk with you guys for a little bit. How many of you guys have seen the movie Logan's Run? Where it's all about a utopia and people are starting to escape, and this guy has to figure out where these people are escaping to. And it turns out that everybody up until him was all getting caught by a robot that was capturing protein from the ocean to feed them in the utopia. So his job essentially was to feed the humans in the pen. And he has a great line where he's talking about the work that he does to keep them alive. And he says this line of more human than human, because he does more things for the human race, or really has an actual job, while they get to live in a pen in a life of leisure. So this idea of being more human than human, we starting to see this in AI, where AI is now generating art, whether it is physical or visual art as pictures or movies, music, scripts for things. So at what point is AI more human than human? I don't know. Something to think about. So we're going to talk about, we're all done with the American Rubicon discussion. When the radio comes back, we are going to talk about this AI slop side. Great video that inspired me with this was the Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. He does some really good, deep insights with things in a comical way. I'm going to be a lot more serious and less vulgar, but it is a great watch. It's about 30 minutes or so. The Guardian had a few things. What was it? Back in January, I think, about AI slop as well. It's a, what was it? I got it in my notes here. AI generated slop is slowly killing the internet is the name of the headline. They brought that out in January. So a couple different references for things. Yes, I think both of those lean left, but I'm sure there's something out by the Post about the dead internet theory. So we'll stick around. Thanks a lot, guys. We are up in about 4 minutes. So those of you that are on YouTube who don't usually listen to radio side of it, we're just coming right back from the top of the hour news. So you'll get local Elgin weather and news for that. But thanks for sticking around for a little bit of the behind the scenes, those of you that normally listen to the radio side. So we're trying to give you a flavor for each side. We'll see you here on the other side. It comes back at 6 after. So now we're looking at about 3.5. Here we go.
Will be erected here, provided a suitable location can be found. Mr. Van Runkel was in conference with the local businesses, some of whom are expected to become interested in the project. Among the sites under consideration, it was stated, is the property on which is now located the Midway Theater and the store occupied by George Souster Company. According to reports, it is planned to place the management of the theater in the hands of local interest. Combinations of theaters and chains of theaters, which other producers have started to build in strategic cities, Mr. Van Ruckel stated, have forced the hand of independent producers to such an extent that they have been compelled to acquire theaters to protect themselves. We have investigated and learned that without doubt, Elgin will have a new theater within the next 2 years. In view of this fact, I've been sent to Elgin by President Lemley in order to open negotiations for a suitable location for a theater to be erected this summer.
Elgin 100 Years Ago is a presentation of the Elgin History Museum. Be sure to visit the museum located at 360 Park Street in Elgin, open Wednesday through Saturdays 11 to 4. You can also listen to Elgin 100 Years Ago at www.elginhistory.com.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. This afternoon, scattered showers and thunderstorms with mostly cloudy skies and a high near 88. Temperatures falling to around 85. Tonight, scattered showers and thunderstorms before 8 p.m., then a chance of showers and thunderstorms until 9 p.m. Mostly cloudy with a low around 68. Currently, it is 88 and overcast. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar! La, 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 la.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
If you build a relationship, then it becomes easier. If you build trust, it becomes easier. As a parent, you want what's best for your child, to give them the love that a child needs. It's probably the best you can do for a teenager.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding a unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hello, America, and good day to our friends around the world. This is A Political Talk Show. You're listening on WRMN 1410 AM, or perhaps you're watching on YouTube.com. Find that WRMN radio. That channel is live right now as well. Those of you that are in the commercial breaks, as we are talking and doing a little bit of behind the scenes discussion here or here and there, really appreciate everybody who's over there that's jumped into the conversation. It's already 7 past the hour. It is 5:07 here in the commute. I just wanted to stamp it already because it is Tech Tuesday. Might as well stamp it all of the way. So here on Tech Tuesday, we want to talk about different things in the technological side. Flying cars, of course, are cool, but I'm not a mechanic, and they haven't really kind of put together anything. They're kind of maybe doing the drone side, but I don't know. I feel weird about driving something that's just got a bunch of fans and blades everywhere spinning around. I will gladly walk wherever I need to go if that's the way. But the technological side of things, a lot of the future looks to be AI driven. Robotics as well. We're getting more and more of the kind of merge of software and hardware with robotics. There's a group of people that are working mostly on the body aspect of it and the movement, the strength. What should the design be? What's better for a pulley system versus any of the other number of ways to get a thing to move. And then there are people that are working on the software side. How does it know where it is? What is the parameters of it making a physical decision? Should it be on its left foot, right foot, etc.? So those are moving together. AI is helping with both of those. We can now use AI to generate almost anything. Now, is it a good whatever it is? Yes. The same way that it's bread that I can just throw flour, water, and yeast into a bucket and bake it on a fire. Yeah, technically bread. Good bread? No. Not in any kind of way. But that's what I want to get to today. Because I want to talk about Slop. AI Slop. Those of you that are older, you remember spam. Those of you that are even older remember junk mail. Well, maybe not older. Those of you that remember phone lines of spam calls, right? Telemarketers still come today. You know you have a strong medium if there's still propaganda on it. Or solicitation. If you don't hear any, then you know that's, I don't know. It's either pure or worse. So let's talk about AI slop a little bit. An AI slop refers to the influx of low quality, mass produced, algorithmically generated content that increasingly populates digital ecosystems. This is characterized by superficial coherence and often lacking in factual accuracy, originality, aesthetic merit. AI slop is an emergent byproduct of this generative artificial intelligent technology we've got now. Push a button, get a thing. As these large language models and image generators become accessible and profitable, the volume is just going to surge. Just is. And so what am I talking about? Well, there's all kinds of different things that are out there with it. Is some of the pictures that we see, right? Some of the AI generated side of the way our media is presented. Let me give you an example. I was watching there's a YouTube channel out there that is obviously just an AI type of thing. What it does is it grabs C-SPAN congressional videos. And they're legitimate C-SPAN congressional videos, so nobody's going to tear them down or report them or anything else. But they'll put a different title into it than what's really happening. Now, it is a pivotal let's have a conversation. Maybe it's an important type of thing. So they're not really getting too much just spam or slop out of it. But the title of it is that clickbait type of title. This person who's in the video gets slammed on this particular thing. And what happens is they're not talking about that. They're talking about something different, maybe something even just a little bit more mundane. But you've seen it too, where those stories, the news, the AI voiced news. Now, AI is not bad. I'm not going to sit here and poo-poo AI for the next 45 minutes or so now. But what I am going to tell you is slop, the stuff that is just poorly put together, lazily put together, sloppily put together, ends up being really dangerous for some things. And it's that misuse, that change of or hijack of the message of the original thing that the AI is pulling from. There are artisans that are out there that are putting together amazing work of arts. And artisans, yeah, I mean landscapers, I mean paintings, I mean glass blowers, I mean all kinds of different ways that we create things as humans. That at the end of it, digitally, they only become a picture. Yeah, I can't hold your work of art. I can't watch it from my own eyes as the light reflects off of it and sends the information to my, like, that, you know what I mean? I can't be there physically. So it does boil down into a picture. But the issue is when that picture uses other pictures of real life things to create something. I have abandoned Pinterest years ago because of this. Because people were already copy pasting, screenshotting the same stuff over and over and over again. It was just AI that was posting it. Now AI dominates spaces like that. AI generated books. Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing now has thousands of books that mimic popular genres. Because direct publishing is put a digital book out there. People only pay for it when they download it or when they print it. People are mimicking best-selling authors and uploading their stuff as those best-selling authors. A crackdown on that. Fake events, AI-generated fake news and articles. So we're going to talk a little bit about this throughout this hour. The other thing that we're going to talk about as well is the dead internet theory. And so what the dead internet theory, it posits that a significant portion of the internet activity is no longer driven by humans, but rather bots, algorithmic content, or AI-generated entities. Now, the dead internet theory puts it at a majority or a significant portion, but we all know that there is a portion. How significant? We'll never be able to tell exactly. More Apolitical Talk Show here on WRMN. Coming right up.
Political party poopers got you down? Shake it off and join me, Dennis Sonar Green, every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. on WRMN for Apolitical Talk Show, where we cut through the doom and gloom with a focus.
Hey, that's now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. I see you there. Go ahead and hit that like button too. It's just about, let me see if I can point at it. Maybe here, here-ish? Maybe, I don't know. Go ahead and hit it. Oh, I'm sorry. It's all the way on the other end. Sorry, it's over here. The like button's over here. I think the subscribe and alert bell's on this side. But thanks for being here. Thanks for jumping into the conversation, even if it's in your own mind. It is an American pastime to sit here and yell at the radio, driving around. Text in if you would like as well, 505-926-1410. For those of you that want to call in, that line's also open for calls. You can either leave a voicemail or I believe I can bring you on in this system. So 505-926-1410. That is the call-in line for this hour at least. Socks are coming up after this, but you won't hear it here on YouTube. If you want to listen to the Socks, tune in to WRMN 1410. We have been playing pretty much 99% of every single game. I don't think we've really had a time where we haven't done it. I think maybe one we've not put out there. So, yeah, stick around, leave a follow. We'll be back in about 60 seconds. Those of you that are watching on YouTube and don't normally hear commercials for things or maybe have that skip button kind of ready to go. This is radio, so you will get a few commercials here or there. I'm going to try to do a few more behind the scenes type of things for you out there. Stick around up in about 30 seconds.
My first culinary business at 16 years old, an inspiration to donate the extra food in my community. Through my life, I've developed an appetite to work with others to ensure everyone has access to the nutritious food we need to thrive. Together, we can help end hunger. Come on, join the movement with Feeding America by volunteering, donating, and advocating. Learn more at feedingamerica.org/act now.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to A Political Talk Show on WRMN. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. I appreciate you watching and appreciate you listening on the AM dial. I got a lot of people over on the YouTube side already jumping in for WKRP references. Brennan, of course, is over there too, and people coming up with new nicknames for me. Thank you all for hitting that like button for those of you that are over there as well. Appreciate you doing that. This video will be able to be replayed after it is done. So if there is anything that you want to check back on, I know I had a lot of references in the first hour. This one, not so much. I tried to put a couple of different things in there, but usually when I come up with an argument that's a little bit more obscure than what we can all kind of relate to, I like to give more book references and things like that. You and I, we can relate to this AI slop side. We've all seen Shrimp Jesus. We've all seen I don't know, what was one of them? The water bottles, all the different people that made sculptures out of water bottles, the people that make, I don't know, stuff out of chocolate or bread or sand castles, or the military members surrounded by other ones that, hey, it turns out our entire squad's birthday was today. Thanks, everybody. Now, I'm not going to deny that people don't make cool things out of chocolate, or that birthdays with people don't happen. But What I'm trying to get at is a lot of this is meant to draw that interaction. It's meant for us to react with, oh, happy birthday for a whole squad, or, that looks delicious. I could eat it all up. And it's that interaction, even that interaction of, this is AI. Is this real? Question mark. Developers argue that generative AI democratizes creativity, that misuse lies within the user. OpenAI and Stability AI emphasize their models are tools, not publishers. They advocate for development of safety features, including moderation of tools, usage guidelines, and responsible AI deployment policies. Nonetheless, critics argue that these measures are often insufficient and reactive rather than preventative. If we should have a preventative strike, it should be against AI. Sorry, just had to put something like that in there. The publishers and content farms view AI as a means to maintain profitability in a competitive market. For them, speed and quantity often outweigh the quality. Many have shifted from human editorial teams to AI-augmented production models, focusing on quantity-based SEO strategies. While this allows for rapid content expansion, it frequently results in reduced editorial oversight and compromised accuracy. Trust me, I've seen those videos of, I don't know, whatever going on in the background, right? Maybe it's a video game going on in the background, or maybe it's a music performance, or maybe somebody hijacked the Red Bull race of some sort, or the satisfying videos, and all it's doing is just words reading an AI-generated story for you. Trust me, I've eaten the slop just like you have. I'm not above it. Do I not scroll as you scroll? If my charger or if my phone is at 5%, do I not panic as you panic? Platforms like Google, Meta, TikTok are under growing scrutiny. Their algorithms, which prioritize engagement, inadvertently reward the AI slop. Inadvertently, yes. While these platforms have made public comments to combat misinformation and improve the content curation, their dual incentives, maximizing ad revenue while ensuring user trust, create the conflicts of interest. Internal whistleblowers and independent audits have revealed inconsistent enforcement and opaque policies. Regulators are beginning to act. The EU's AI Act includes transparency mandates for generative content. In the U.S., the Federal Trade Commission has warned against deceptive AI users. Warned, strict warning. They even shook their finger at him once. Scholars, and of course there are the AI ethicists, ethicists? The scientists that study ethics. They offer the most urgent critiques. They argue that AI slop contributes to pollution, but at epistemic pollution, one where we can't understand the originality or the context behind something. This degradation of knowledge systems by overwhelming them with unreliable information. They warn of a future where the distinction between fact and fabrication collapses, making critical thinking and informed consent harder to achieve. Universities and academic journals have begun incorporating AI detection and disclosure requirements into their publishing guidelines to preserve academic integrity. But you and I both know there's no way to contain this. Just like we contain, copyright law, right? And no one was ever able to download or copy or anything else. Just like we maintain intellectual property. When we put a patent out there in the world, no one is able to make the other thing that I have. Somewhere on this planet, someone will copy good ideas. That's how it works. That's how it makes a good idea a good idea. We either copy it or we want to be a part of it. It's the system in which that good idea grows and flourishes is how it ends up. Is that idea for sale? Is that idea to help the community? Is it the next mousetrap? It's ideas. The marketplace of ideas. And when it is AI that generates the ideas and AI that comments on the ideas, guess what feeds the AI? Those same ideas and that same commenting. And it becomes a self-perpetuating system that a lot of people refer to as the dead internet theory. That's what we're going to go over next. Stick around. It is only 29, soon to be 30 past the hour here on WRMN. White Sox in 30 minutes, by the way.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Cruden, brought to you by Progressive. St. Charles City officials are seeking public input to guide future sidewalk planning efforts across local neighborhoods. Residents are encouraged to complete new online surveys that will help determine where sidewalks should be installed and where they might not be needed, and where upgrades could make a difference. Kane County communities are gearing up for vibrant Independence Day celebrations. Aurora kicks things off on July 3rd with fireworks, followed by a parade on July 4th at 10 a.m. Batavia fireworks light up the sky at Eggstrom Park on the 4th at 9:30 p.m. alongside live music and food vendors. In Elgin, a morning parade leads to evening festivities and grand fireworks show at Festival Park. Knox Presbyterian Church in Naperville is hosting its annual Garden Walk on Saturday, July 12th from 9:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Participants will have the chance to explore 6 local gardens at their own pace. Advance tickets are available for $15 at the church or online with day of tickets priced at $20. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Cruden.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight, and you can't even throw in internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
At Britain's Touchless Car Wash, they know life gets busy. That's why they're here 24/7 to keep your car looking spotless, fast, and easy. Their advanced brush-free wash technology delivers a sparkling clean without a single scratch, because they treat your car like it's their own. Here's the best part. Right now, you can get a free car wash just for joining their text club. It's simple. Just text BRITT to 30400, and your first wash is on them. Britain's Touchless Car Wash has two convenient locations, 1923 Larkin Avenue in Elgin and 555 Willow in West Dundee. They're proud to keep your car clean while giving back to our community. Text BRITT to 30400. That's BRITT to 30400 now for your free car wash, and see why Britain's Touchless Car Wash is the fast, gentle, and reliable choice.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. Tonight, scattered showers and thunderstorms before 8 p.m., then a chance of showers and thunderstorms between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m., then scattered showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy with a low around 68. Chance of precipitation is 60%. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a high near 84. Chance of precipitation is 60%. Currently, it is 86 and overcast. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce!
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
Welcome back to A Political Talk Show here on WRMN. Wherever you're at, I hope you're doing fantastic. I hope you are achieving all of the goals, or at least working towards them. Remember, the only thing that the universe asks of us is just to be better than yesterday. Are you better today than you were yesterday? Are you doing more good than you did yesterday? That's it. Just grow. Look at any living thing that is out there and look at its growth. Is it growing healthily? Is it expanding correctly? Or is it cancerous and just growing wild? There's structure to it. Growth is what we try to have, or at least, I don't know, those of us that try to march towards that horizon of perfection, I suppose. You never get there. Nothing's ever perfect. But the betterment, if you want to be better, the man in the mirror, it's growth. Growth that's wild and unkept is cancerous. And so when we talk about the dead internet theory, look at it as a cancerous type of thing, which, by the way, is what we're going to talk about today, or at least this part of it. We've been talking about AI slop. We've been talking about, even before this in the first hour, we were talking about the breakdown of societies, or at least the republic specifically. And a lot of it is the misinformed, apathetic populace. Civic-minded doesn't just mean vote. Civic-minded means understanding the way in the system in which you are civically involved in. whether you like it or not, if you live here, this is the side. That's again, when we talk about Rousseau's contract of the governed, people who live here only follow the laws because we all agree that these are the laws. When a breakdown starts to happen, it's usually because laws are not followed. Now, we can get into the bureaucratic side of things where all they have to do is just pass a law that pigs are more equal than others. All animals are equal, but pigs are more equal. And so this is where the AI comes in with it. Is the algorithm is going to feed you whatever the algorithm wants. It is now shown that I think almost 30% of all of the things that you see on Facebook are not from the things that you follow. It's the algorithm feeding you those things. And then if a large portion of those things are AI generated and AI driven for the algorithm, and they're the ones that make it the most popular, then there is going to be more AI given to you, even outside of the AI that you already followed and signed up for. And though hyperbolic, the most extreme forms, the dead internet theory resonates in the digital world, increasingly saturated with synthetic content. User-generated content becomes indistinguishable from machine output. And it concerns us with the authenticity and the digital community's integrity to grow more towards that everyone participating in the internet is us, the humans. They were built for us. They weren't built for algorithms. Most tools for humans should be, for humans. Or people. Now, you throw the corporations or people too. And you can do it however you'd like. So the origins of the theory gained popularity in the early 2020s. Forums like 4chan and Reddit, and proponents claimed that the vibrant human-driven web of the 2000s had been replaced by a ghost network of populated bots, SEO farms, and corporate algorithms. The theory alleges that the majority of internet interactions are now simulated to manipulate public opinion or consumer behavior. While early claims are anecdotal, the rise of generative AI tools in 23 to now add credibility to some of the concerns. Automation of reviews, comments, social media posts, and even news articles blur the line between organic and artificial activity. Bot engagement from Twitter to YouTube comment farms. Bots are used to infiltrate visibility, stimulate popularity, and shape discourse. Then, of course, you've got the AI content generators, language models like GPT, and image generators like Midjourney produce content that appears human-authored while flooding platforms with indistinguishable posts. If I want something to trend on an algorithm, let's just post the same thing 5,000 times. It's the way a lot of people are going. You talk about the content farms, or you talk about the viewer farms. But even the SEO being automated, the content farms use the AI to target trending keywords to dominate the search results. So you can imagine when people were talking about the Iranian bombings that there were AI-generated bombs and footage, or fake reviews and profiles. E-commerce platforms are plagued by fake user reviews and AI-generated product descriptions. When was the last time that you saw a movie description that had maybe the wrong actors in it, or described the plot wrong, or described more about what the poster looked like than the actual side, the actual movie itself? In 2024, a study by Stanford's Internet Observatory found that over 40% of Reddit posts in trending subreddits displayed characteristics of automation. So now, I don't know if you all have been accused of being bots before, but Reddit is a lot of that. Bot Sentinel estimated that 35% of X's traffic during major news events involved inauthentic amplification. Amazon removed over 200,000 listings in 2023 due to suspected review manipulation, much of it linked to automated content. Common refrains include the decline of comment quality, the disappearance of niche communities, and the rise of eerily similar articles across unrelated websites. The dead internet theory resonates because it captures a broader cultural anxiety: the erosion of authenticity. We've had that before. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Don't believe everything you see on TV. Don't believe everything you hear on the radio. Don't believe everything you read in the newspaper. Don't believe everything that the propagandist gives you. Don't believe everything the town crier says. Ugh over there, yeah. Don't take everything he says with a grain of salt. That's how old it goes back to. Now, a grain of salt, I'd have to look at where the original was, but the concept is still there. When content lacks verified authorship or originality, distinguishing truth from fiction becomes harder. This undermines journalism, academic research, civic discourse. The reports that Health and Human Services come out with. Another thing to Google when you get home. Users often report feeling disoriented or disconnected when they suspect that they are engaging with bots rather than people. This weakens the communal nature of the internet and may contribute to online fatigue. Ironically, in the meme culture, the theory itself has become a meme. Users satirically question whether any digital content is real, right? Are birds real theory? But this reflects postmodern skepticism about media and truth. alternative facts, if you will. And part of this AI slop theory that we have here, it starts to degrade the one thing that keeps us all here, grounded right here. The one thing that keeps us all together. And that's objective reality. When news was out and everything else, we couldn't possibly think that somebody would travel so far to say the news that was wrong. Misinformation has been here forever. Lies have been here forever. But imagine being able to crank out, through modern technology, a wonder of the future, 10,000 lies a minute, and be able to post it all over the internet. Now, there may not be somebody who's posting 10,000 truths a minute other than the President of the United States, but I think that's mostly personal stuff. I'm talking about truth, as in the actual factual things. Yes, there's multiple people talking about the truth, but are they flooding the zone with the truth? There's one truth and unlimited amount of lies. It's the way it is. I think it was Mark Twain who said the lie travels 3 times around the world before the truth even gets its shoes on. And when we don't have the discipline because we're the target, do we continuously rely on the corporation's discipline? The same corporations that we have to say that, no, we have the weekends off? The same corporations that we say, please don't send our children into the mines? Or are you talking about the faceless government who's more about their, I don't know, their lobbyists than their constituents? And I'm not saying don't trust the institutions. We just can't trust the people. And so we have to make sure that the institutions have their power. We have to make sure that the republic, that the Congress and the executive and the legislative all work together. And even in the Congress, that we make sure that the Senate can work well with each other, that the House can work well with each other. If you want to make sure that objective reality is king, then we have to make sure that objective reality is what our leaders live in. There are too many times that we see politicians repost AI-generated things and use it as a soundbite, or use it as leverage, or use it as an example of something. And so we have to look out for that. I don't like to give everybody a lot of bad news and things without bringing something up, without looking at where we can go. But for platforms, if we can get platforms to change, which, okay, here's the hopes and the pie in the sky list, is adjusting the algorithms to reward originality and verified authorship. Now, the algorithm is going to obviously push whatever is the most engaging, not necessarily original or verified. And we need to start investing in detection tools now. Making sure that transparency is first, that this had AI put into it. You can see that some posts and even some publications give you the option to click a button to let everybody know that this was made in part with AI. Fantastic. We need more of that. For regulators, enforce labeling of AI-generated content. If the platforms were willing to build the tools, then let's use the tools and regulate these. Or, like most things, let's regulate and give the platforms time to build the tools. Regulators can also support creators through fair use protection and data rights. We can have these large language models and these AI-generated things have to pay for the content that they use as a foundation for their AI generative side. If you used my picture to generate this new picture, then you should give me credit on it. For creators, we can embrace AI as a tool, not as a substitute. And I understand it. I get it. It's hard to make the creative thing that's in your mind come out on the actual tools that were made for creation. The wood, the chisel, the software, the digital sculpting, the recipes, all of the hard work that it takes. But what you're doing is you're bringing a lot of a scooter to a decathlon. Yeah, you may not be using all of it, but is that the spirit of the thing that you are making? And I get it. Satire and comedy have a great place in our world. And AI being able to immediately turn something into a satirist utopia is fantastic. But we have to embrace AI as a tool and not as a substitute. Creators can also advocate for ethical standards, community moderation. Flag it. When you see an AI thing, point it out. Say this is AI, or completely ignore it and stop rewarding the algorithm. For consumers, people that don't necessarily make it but love looking at them, develop a little digital literacy. Just recognize it. Recognize when somebody's got 6 fingers on their right hand, unless you're watching The Princess Bride. And support quality journalism, verified creators, not just people that are saying what you want. Not just the creators that are feeding you the things that only adhere to your side. If something's too good to be true, you know the rest, right? It is. Including things that are way too cute, things that are way too violent, things that are extreme. Those are usually the AI algorithm. We need more discourse. We need more discussions. AI slop is not merely a technical problem. It's a cultural one. and it reflects our current incentives and values and infrastructural weaknesses. While generative AI holds the promise, its misuse threatens the integrity of our shared informational spaces. Through thoughtful regulation, platform accountability, and cultural shifts, the tide of slop can be stemmed. Ethically, the question is not whether we can generate infinite content, but whether we should. Preserving human creativity, discernment, and trust must remain central in the digital age. Those of you that have seen Jurassic Park, this is exactly what Dr. Malcolm was getting at. That we have built our society on the shoulders of those that have created it before us. And we have taken advantage of their great leaps. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of the show, including the part in your brain that got tickled today. Stick around, more WRMN floating around. It's going to be some White Sox here in about 60 seconds. Thanks for listening.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important.
Hey, YouTubers. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I got to get to class. I got to teach tonight. But it was really good seeing everybody. I really appreciate everybody who went through and made sure that they, I don't need all this no more, that made sure that you liked and subscribed. I really appreciate that. Those of you that haven't done either of those things, hop on in. We don't bite. You might get a notification here or there about some of the new things that we put out. But subscribing doesn't cost you a thing, but it does help the algorithm say that we're human generated content. Thanks for listening. Those of you that are leaving here, hop over on the AM dial. The Sox game's starting literally in 5 seconds. See you around.